Hello, hello, everyone. My
Big
name is Nick.
Gene.
Oh, what was that? Was that you or was?
Sorry.
All right, that's all right. Vox is stealing the show already. That took 2 minutes. So, my name is Nick Soutter. It is. Let's see. Okay, so we are. Yeah, some things change and some things do not. Uh, yeah, I know, new mic. So hopefully it sounds better. We'll see. Still configuring it some, but hopefully I've heard positive things. Well, apparently when I move my chair, that that gets to be a. Welcome to the time. A bit of a hiatus, so there's a lot to catch up on. We're going to be this is going to be the regular schedule for In Time now. Tuesdays at 9 p.m. and then Thursdays at 9 p.m. We're going to be doing overtime, which is where we're going to be covering mostly news and stuff. We're not going to usually do that on In Time, so people who aren't as interested in the news topics. But since we have about 3 weeks worth of material to catch up on, we are going to be doing basically a sort of a news rundown, and we're going to try to. There's a lot to cover. This was not the right month to take a hiatus, but so offense beyond our control. I appreciate everyone being patient with us. Vox, how are you?
I'm doing good. And I'm glad you're doing better. The break was nice. As you know, Nick is a bit of a taskmaster, so it was nice not having the whip on my back, so to speak. I was able to, actually spend some time with my wife instead of, I'm kidding. You're
Ma-
fantastic.
Maudi requests the whip. Just to be clear,
Uh,
Maudi wouldn't come in
well,
without the way. He's like, "You didn't bring the whip, Nick. I don't think I can make it today." Um,
I mean, I am what, I mean, you do have to, two men, one woman, you have to put me in my place.
so, okay, okay, I ain't touching that with a 10-foot cattle prod or a bull whip with the cattails or that. Yeah. Oh, you're not fooling anyone. You are not fooling anyone. Although you are gonna have to tell me the hijab story at some point. But that was you guys.
Yes,
That was
yes,
the
yes, absolutely.
that was the discussion backstage. We're gonna go back to also maybe depending on how Vox feels about it. Maybe letting our patrons have backstage access. They can watch us shoot the shit before the show, or in crisis mode, going like, "Are we live? Did I press the button? Did it work?" But whatever happens, you know what? You can a couple of ways if you want to know when we're broadcasting. The easiest way is to hit the like and subscribe button. You hit the bell, and that's how you're going to know. Ostensibly, they're always a pain about those subscribe buttons, but. Uh, and we also cover breaking news, and if it happens at 4 a.m. in the morning, that's the way to know. You can also become a patron. We just did our patron hangout. We're going to be doing another one again coming up. We do them at the first of every month, but at some point I'd like to add a second one. So all sorts of ways to support the show if you are interested, which I hope you are in the meantime. So we do have a lot to cover, but right before we went live today, got an interesting one. Republican State Representative Kyle Biderman, I want to say, state rep for the state of Texas. I think you could have figured that one out. Has said he's going to introduce the Texas Independence Referendum Act, which will allow Texans to vote for the state to, quote, reassert its status as an independent nation.
Perfect. Perfect. You know what? They can have Texas. We'll take Puerto Rico, Mexico, and DC. And maybe like a good 1/6 of the stupidity that is the United States will disappear, just like that.
I got to tell you, I am for this bill, quite frankly, and I would remind people, by the way, that there's actually nothing in the Constitution that outlaws secession. But so Texas, I'm just saying, you got my vote. I would like to also point out to Texans that right now they rank 43rd in education. For our Texan audience, that's 43rd out of 50. That's a bad thing. That's a very bad thing. And they they rank 43rd, which means they have a little trouble doing math. So let me do a little math here for you. 35% of their budget, the state budget, the budget is the money that you use to buy the things that you want. 35% of that comes from the federal government. So if they're not part of the United States anymore, 35% of their budget gone overnight. They also lose the ability to use the interstate highway system. They lose the Federal Reserve, which really is actually much more beneficial and helpful than I think most people give it credit for. And they lose the Navy, which they may not think is particularly a problem, but if they plan on selling their oil, which is the only way, and believe me, it's not even close to enough to make up that kind of budgetary shortfall, unless they want to try to nationalize the thing, but that's something called socialism, and we all know they're not going to be for that. So I have no idea where they think they're going to get the makeup of this money from, but ostensibly it's going to have to involve the sale of oil, and unless they want to sell it to the United States, which is really going to be their only market, they're going to have to ship it. And if they're going to ship it overseas, they're going to need a fucking navy, or pirates are just going to be all over. Yes, there are pirates. Believe it or not, there are pirates. And oh my God. Now, just one more.
Let's not also forget the fact that you need a currency to be a sovereign nation. So what are the Texas petrodollar? Like, I mean, all of a sudden, like all that green money that everybody has in their hands, all those credit cards, what are you gonna buy your, I don't know, Confederate flags and stop the steal bumper stickers and giant cowboy hats with? Like, your money's just become worthless. Because I'm not sure, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure Amazon.com doesn't take oil-soaked rags from the prairie in the form.
Oh, and I think the reason this ticks me off so much, they're not going to do it because the ones that are in power aren't quite stupid enough to do it. They're just doing it to play to their base until or unless eventually enough of the base falls for it that they actually vote for it. And then the people who put this up are like, uh-oh. But I also fail to understand, they call themselves patriots. You can't be a patriot and say you want to leave the United States. But all that aside, for every dollar that they give to the federal government in taxes, for every dollar, they get $1.30 back. $1.30 back. For every dollar I spend, my state gets 70 cents back. That's because that 30 cents is going to other states, the majority of whom, believe it or not, it turns out if you look at budgetary shortfalls and which states are getting the most assistance, it's overwhelmingly the red states. It's overwhelmingly states south of the Mason-Dixon line. So my money is going to them. Yeah, I know. We got to sit and think about that one for a little while. But because of their education system, they haven't figured that out. So what ends up happening is I end up sending my taxes to them, and then I get to hear them complain that they're being unfairly treated, that they're being unfairly stigmatized, and that I'm un-American, and that I'm the one that should leave. Give me a fucking break. So, yeah, I get triggered. Well,
golly, Nick, you mean leaving the union has negative consequences, and we're just not all going to be freedom-loving people who will respect each other's property rights? Gosh.
Yeah. Oh, dear Lord. And listen, I understand that this is offensive and stereotypes, and I try to avoid that in general. But if you're going to start talking about, oh, give me a fucking break. All right, so we're starting the show with that.
Sorry, I had to take a swig of my strawberry wine there.
So I guess the good news is Texas is threatening to leave. The bad news is it's just a threat. So moving on.
I don't know. I don't need, just for a moment. I'm not even sure if this is stereotype, right? Because it's like the word freedom has just been redefined as freedom. You know, it's like if I can't get my way in every single possible conceivable stupid thing that I can think of that grossly affects the entire look, all the like, and I know we're going to get into the COVID thing, right? Right now, all these people that are yelling, freedom, freedom, freedom. You're the reason that people like me and Nick and the other watchers at In Time, most likely, are stuck in our homes, unable to go visit our families on the holidays because your social life and your need to go out and get drunk at the local bar, you care more about that than, your next door neighbors. And that's not very Jesus of you.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I think an entire show needs to be dedicated to that. I think an entire show needs to be dedicated to what does it mean to have freedom, because they're not mutually exclusive, and I don't understand what. It's marketing. It's marketing. Yeah.
I'm drawing a complete and utter mental blank. And the fact that I'm drawing a blank really just lends me to believe that I need to go take a dirt nap or something. But girl, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Well, they've turned compromise into a 4-letter word. I say this all the time. The one thing that every part of the Constitution, every paragraph, every clause, every sentence, every article, every word, every piece of punctuation has in common is that they were all compromises. And yet somehow the founding fathers never compromised. Are you fucking kidding me? Now, there's a good question from Native Atheist. Thank you for asking. Can someone explain the logic of defunding the police? It's completely insane. It's completely illogical. I don't think anyone should be withdrawing funds from the police. But I think in general, what people mean by that, and I think this is another example of poor messaging, is they mean demilitarizing the police. They mean pulling the funds that are used for, unless Vox has a different understanding of it. That's sort of my understanding. But the other thing is, I think everybody's got a different. There are people who take that to mean completely defunding the police. That's insane. That's a good equivocal. That's a good equivocation. If that's what they meant, yes, that's as stupid as Texas leaving. If they actually literally meant let's just disband all police forces, I'm gonna go live in Texas.
So I'm gonna hit my little bell here. I need a little bell to say, here comes philosophy. So if it is the case that we have immoral laws, if you hold to a moral system, and if it is the case that we have immoral laws, unjust laws in our books, our police, their duty is to uphold the laws of the land via the Constitution, the federal government, state government, locality government, on and on and on and on. Many, if not a majority of these laws are immoral and unjust. If they are upholding these laws, because being a police officer is not, say, being a black man. A police officer is an occupation. Okay, blue lives do not matter. It's a voluntary occupation. Okay, blue lives don't exist. And so, in my opinion, if I am being logically valid in my reasoning, all police officers are by proxy of upholding an immoral system immoral themselves, and therefore the entire system should be completely destroyed and rebuilt from the ground up. And I think that is what at least the radical elements of the defund the police movement think. Now, having said that, the majority of them just mean that we should not be funding or paying police officers to do things that they ought not be doing in the first place, like dealing with domestic violence or drug abuse or mental health issues or things like that. We ought have social workers to do those things, and we don't need to be getting Rambo'd up to go check on a person that's, having an issue in the middle of their yard because they're schizophrenic, which ends up leading to them getting shot in the head by a bunch of police officers who have 6 weeks of training. Two sides of the coin.
Well, very well put. And the interesting thing is that in general has been my experience. It is the majority opinion for people who are saying defund the police is that the police should not be engaged in activities for which they are inadequately trained, such as mental health work. But that's what they get stuck doing. And the irony is that's usually the Republican or the conservative position as well, which is we shouldn't have the police do it. So the times when both sides agree, I'm just getting, oh, God. Oh, dear Lord.
By the way, the chat, we have a chat that says Blue Lives Matter. They do exist. Blue Man Group for life. And amen, brother, to that.
Well, I swear to God, someone's going to clip the beginning part of your rant and take that totally out of context and say, this is what Vox said on In Time. We're okay.
Clip me out of context all you want. Just be willing to come on the show and defend your out of context clippings.
Yeah, that's going to happen. All right. Yeah, the number of people that I would love to invite on this show, I don't even bother. I don't bother. I should. The only reason would be to call them out for doing. I'm not big on calling people out. So, all right. That which is I know a minority position, but nonetheless. All right. So, one thing like I said, we're going to sort of blow by a lot of what's been happening recently. Some of it's really big. Some of it's the COVID stuff is, it's almost always big. The U.S. has just today hit a record number of deaths with a 7-day average of 229 deaths in a day. Now, I remember when it hit 1,000 and we here sort of figured that would be a tipping point and people would start to, 1,000's a nice round number. It's, people are going to see that and psychologically. And the reality is we're taking it less seriously right now than we did when it was 1,000 a day. I don't think that's sustainable. We have 200,000 new cases a day. I think the number of deaths is going to start to grow rapidly again. Numerous states, as last time that we were in this situation, they are reporting, unfortunately, healthcare workers dying at disproportionately high rates. They're reporting a number of them getting sick. The hospitals are overwhelmed in numerous states, and I think last I saw, in every state in the union, the numbers are going up. Now, in North Carolina, the state's Department of Labor has said it will not issue guidelines or regulations regarding employers forcing them to have safeguards for their employees in regards to social distancing. They're just not going to do it. The commissioner of the North Carolina Department of Labor said, quote, "While I'm not dismissing the tragic deaths that have occurred as a result of this virus, statistically, the virus is not proven likely to cause the death or serious physical harm from the perspective of an occupational hazard." I agree with her as long as the occupation does not involve spending any time in the proximity of other human beings. I don't, dear Lord. Let's see. Now, a personal lawyer to President Donald Trump and former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, has tested positive for coronavirus. He is 74. It's the same age Trump is. Now, Trump got the best medical care on the planet. He walks around saying like, oh, coronavirus is easy. Yeah, he got the experimental. He had an entire hospital dedicated to saving his life. Most Americans don't get that. Nonetheless, and Rudy Giuliani is probably going to be well taken care of, but he's still not going to get presidential care. He joins others in Trump's close orbit, such as Senior Advisor Hope Hicks, Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, Press Secretary Kylie Anami, and also Donald Trump Jr., all of whom have tested positive. For the most part, they've all recovered. The only one that was sort of, that's a big name that got coronavirus at a Trump rally as a result of participating was, Herman Cain, who died from complications of coronavirus. Meanwhile, some interesting and positive news regarding cannabis. The United Nations has put up a recommendation, they have taken a recommendation from the World Health Organization and voted to remove cannabis from its list of dangerous substances. And on Friday, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a comprehensive reform bill ending the federal prohibition on marijuana. This isn't going to get past the Senate. It probably wouldn't be able to get past the Senate even when the next Senate comes in. So it looks like it's dead on arrival. But it's interesting that you can actually now even get it through the House. The bill is one more step in the process of decriminalizing what is considered by most in the medical profession as a reasonably harmless drug. And then I guess we could go on to having covered all that, unless there was something specific you wanted to touch on those. There were two interesting issues that I thought. First of all is the number of legal cases going on in regards to all sorts of shenanigans, and or the gas in Portland, which is very concerning. So is there anything in particular that which would you rather hit right now?
So, the North Carolina worker thing struck me as interesting because it's just another indication that government doesn't function well, because on the one hand, in that state you have a Democratic governor who's saying wear your masks, stay inside, and then you've got a Republican who is in charge of the I believe her name is Sherry Berry, in charge of the the workplace area, and she's saying, we're not going to take like common sense measures. And I see like a Facebook post from a friend of mine who lives in North Carolina with the hashtag not my governor. And of course, they've been shutting down places at like 10 o'clock and 9 o'clock, things like that, not as many people inside, closing down the bars and things like that. And this is a lady who's a Democrat, right, voted for Joe Biden and things like that, and she's just like, it's saying it's all stupid. And I'm like having to sit there and explain how it's like, look, they don't do these things for no reason, right? They're trying to prevent the deaths of people. They're trying to limit the exposure, the amount of time that people can be exposed to things like that. And if we can't prevent people from doing stupid things, then we're going to have to limit their ability to be around people who, generally speaking, do stupid things. And, if it is the case that your social life is drastically, being affected by these measures, and you're the reason that we're having to have a second round of these measures in the first place. So thank you very much for that. If we had all just done what the scientists and the doctors and the medical professionals had asked us to do months ago, we probably would be able to hang out with our families this Christmas. And so it's very sad. We're approaching 300,000 people dead. This is like, it's like 1% of the population of America have died from something that was primarily preventable. It's just a completely, it's just worthless. Like these people died for no reason, right? People want to think that their lives have meaning and reason, and if you're going to die, you ought to die for a reason. And these people are dying for no reason. Their death has no meaning. They're not propelling anything forward. They're not propelling society forward. There's no like march. There's no rights being won or gained. And it's just people being stupid and causing the deaths of other people who are, either can't defend themselves, like people in nursing homes and things like that, from these things, who are themselves just stupid people. And what do you do with that? Like, what do you really do with that? I don't know. I don't know how many people need to die in a day from something that's completely preventable before people sit there and go, well, maybe we should have listened. Like, what is it going to take? 1 million people dead? 5 million people? Like, how many people need to die? More people have died from this disease this year than the Second Iraq War, the First Iraq War, Korea, Vietnam, and all the other skirmishes, and World War II, World War I combined. More people have died this year from a completely preventable virus than the entire amount of American soldiers who died giving their lives since the Civil War.
And how much money were we willing to spend in each of those? How much were Americans willing to sacrifice without questioning freedom during World War II? If you said, I'm not gonna ration in World War II because freedom, what would have happened to you during World War II? And
If Franklin Roosevelt had said, it's your patriotic duty to defeat the Germans, to put a piece of cloth over your face, we would have been ripping up our couches. We would have been tearing bras apart and we would have been putting dirty socks over our face. We would have forgone, like activity. We would have done what needed to be done to beat the Germans. So
all
it
right, so
just
we've
shows
got
that the greatest enemy is our own population.
$2 super chat, yeah, from Jake 4D. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Well, it's not. The other thing was Nate the lawyer, Nate Brody, has an argument that he uses about how, look, our society forces you to wear clothing, right? I mean, you can't go out naked. You can't go out. So what really is the difference between that and putting on a mask where it's a public safety? I mean, your own body is now a weapon, because you can infect other people and you can kill them, and you can, even if they're healthy enough to withstand it and healthy enough to go outside and socialize, maybe they're going home to a grandmother who isn't. So, this is
honestly, I think that we should, if we can contract trace back, I'd be interested in legal arguments that call that, charge people with manslaughter.
That's
I really would.
Yeah. I think that's an arguable position. I don't think that's as far out from Dave Thompson. Wait, you can't go out naked? Yeah, Dave, we've had this discussion before, Dave.
If you can be charged with first degree premeditated murder charges, if you have, say, HIV/AIDS, and pass that on to someone and you didn't inform them, right? There should be no difference. Are you walking outside and giving somebody COVID, right? It should be the same thing. And it shouldn't matter whether one involves a penis and a vagina and one involves a sneeze and a rag. You should be held liable.
Well, and I think I lost track of. There was one more comment. There was the and I forgot on the other governor. There's another governor who has. There's at least two governors now who've done this, but there was one recently who was in the news who has issued a decree that nobody is allowed. None of the local districts are allowed to enforce their own mandates. So if a district says we're closing bars at a certain time, or you have to wear a mask in public, they can't be enforced. That's and I forget. I wanted to say that was North Carolina, but I know it's not. I'm sure somebody in the live chat will have that. But I think that's an example again of we're shooting ourselves in the foot, and it's. I don't know. I always say education is a silver bullet. It's people who don't understand and are making just crazy arguments for things that just make no freedom. Oh, dear Lord. All right. So I did want to cover. So this is a bit of a scary thing that we have now. I guess this was actually first reported a couple of months ago, but it's been it hasn't
real
been.
Quick, if I just could
yeah, please.
Just 1 second. So we have a question in chat that I'd like to address.
Go for it.
Her brother John. Why the fuck does he, which I'm assuming is me, have a mask on inside? The reason that I have a mask on inside is because I want you guys to behave. And, leadership comes from the top up. And if you're watching me, right, then I assume I have some kind of influence over you. And I'm saying, hey, look, I've got my mask on. You should wear your mask, right? Plus, I don't want to get Nick sick, right? Because I don't want to accidentally, cough through the internet and it come out of his, speakers. And, so, wear your mask. Plus, it's fashionable, right? I mean, doesn't it? Look, I don't have to put on makeup. I don't have to put on lipstick. I don't even have to brush my teeth. You guys don't know if I got funky breath or not, right? I'm just sitting here like, hello.
When the president of the United States, wears a mask, or not right now the president-elect of the United States wears a mask on a podium, and he's, the closest person is 90 feet away from him. he could take off the mask, it'd be clearer, easier to understand, and it'd look better. He's wearing the mask in order to show that anybody can do it. If the president of the United States can fucking wear the mask, so can you. In this case, that's a bad argument because the current president apparently can't wear the mask. But I think, oh, by the way, there are several guests who have also, Sygart wears a mask every time he's on. So that's why, that's a good Vox. You see that once again, we have a good example of Vox being a good leader, and I'm just sitting in the back going like, yeah. But see, Vox, just made that up. She pretends she's in another state, but really she's just like, if I knock right there, you'll hear it on her mic. It's because she's like one room over. This whole thing is elaborately orchestrated. Yeah, there you go, to make it sound like we can time that. Ready? And here we go. All right. What we have here is a picture of Portland, Oregon. That is not tear gas. Nobody knows what. Actually, we now know what that is, unfortunately. So the police have started deploying. Actually, it looks like if I get this correctly, they started deploying about 90 days ago. A green gas. These canisters. The canisters were marked. I think was it HX. HC, I think it was, and people have been trying to identify what the chemical is. It was released. It's been released. It has purportedly had a profound effect on people who have come into contact with it, but nobody knows what it is. It has now been identified. The Chemical Weapons Research Consortium has identified the chemical as hexachloroethene, with byproducts of zinc chloride, also known as hexite, hexavalent chromium and lead. Chromium and lead, for most of you should know. HC, thank you, Bregwin. Chromium and lead, obviously heavy metals. All heavy metals are toxic to almost all life, including human beings. Heavy metals are often what you find in pesticides. The dangers of heavy metals, for the most part, cannot be overestimated. And the zinc chloride made, the hexite that is made from the hexachloroethene is actually, it's not just a regular byproduct of it. It is actually what causes the green gas and appears to be deliberately made in this. It's a highly regulated poison. It is so toxic. This compound has been banned by the U.S. military. It was banned in the 90s due to extreme toxicity. So obviously tear gas is in fact supposed to be painful. It's supposed to make you want to get the fuck away from it. It's supposed to hurt, and it's really supposed to hurt kind of badly. That's how it works. But it's very temporary. The effects of tear gas are temporary. There is no permanent side effects except in extreme cases, just like all what's called sort of near lethal or mostly, not near lethal, sublethal weapons. You don't know what's going to happen when you hit somebody with a taser. The chances are excellent that it's going to slow them down or stop them. It can kill them. Everybody's different. We're all little snowflakes. You don't know what's going to happen. So tear gas can be lethal, but usually it's not. Usually it's reasonably safe. It's just painful as all hell. This stuff is very fucking dangerous, and it has been deployed, to the best of my knowledge, only in Portland, Oregon. It's been deployed repeatedly. It's been deployed so much it's been found in the water streams, in the runoff. They got the samples from the samples that they got outside of the actual canisters, which were found. They found literally in just green rainwater runoff. This is in our Discord. If you want to come to our Discord, we always have sort of current news stories in the Discord where we're chatting about them. We're talking about shows. We're talking about all sorts of stuff, but you'll find more about that there. I don't know. The chemical was just recently identified. What's going to happen now that it's been identified? I mean, the fact that it had to be identified by a group called the Chemical Weapons Research Consortium, it doesn't seem to me that this is technically classified as a chemical weapon, because there's actually a specific list. And if it's not on that list, it's, it's not necessarily a chemical weapon, but this strikes me as being essentially what you would call a chemical weapon. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and we may know more by our actual news show 2 days from today. It will be Thursday, 9 p.m. So,
So
yeah.
once upon a time, there was this little town called Hinckley, California. And there was a company called Pacific Gas and Electric. And there was a lady who liked to wear push-up bras and high heels called Erin Brockovich. And she
Oh, yes.
found that hexavalent chromium was causing cancer in all of the citizens of Hinckley. And there was a huge lawsuit, and obviously Pacific Gas and Electric paid out the ass for it. And these people thought it was a good idea, along with other, to take that and combine it with other organophosphates, which are always, just fun things, right? Put them together in a canister and chuck it at people, right? Not our enemies, not some terrorist, not some person who's planning to kill millions of us with nuclear bombs in a suitcase. No, people who want to protest police brutality. And the
Yeah, but
best
they're
thing that we
liberals.
can come up to deal with this is to chuck organophosphates and hexavalent chromium at them in the form of gas. Good job, citizen. Good job. Just like round of applause there. Like, can you get any more can you get any more sinister? Can you get any more immoral than creating weapons like this in the first place and then using them on your own citizens? The people who authorize the use of those things should be in jail for the rest of their lives.
This is what happens when, I mean, I swear to God, I can hear it. I can hear people saying, yeah, but they're rioting in the streets and this and that, which is really code for, well, they're liberals, so it's okay. Because
So
first of all,
these guys that say that they're rioting in the streets, would they say, go throw hexavalent chromium at the Boston Tea Party people? Huh?
yeah,
Because that was a disorderly protest, right? And remember, property is more important than people's lives, according to these fuckers. So, Birth of America, Boston Tea Party, Bunker Hill? No, just chuck chemical smoke at them that is going to cause cancer. Yeah, that's real patriotic there, bud. That's real American history there, bud. I'm sorry.
no,
I'm
this
glad I
is
got the mask on.
this is a tough Titan is, let's just see what he said. He said, yeah, I agree. This is crimes against humanity level. It's very serious. I think we're going to keep an eye on it. Yeah. I mean, it's they've been doing this apparently for a little while, and it wasn't until just recently. And then the next question is, where on earth are they getting
Where
this
did you get it from?
Yeah. So,
Kim Jong-un is sucking in the back pockets of Donald Trump, and he's chucking it out the plane as he's flying back from his, romantic getaway with the dictator of North Korea.
yeah. Bregwin brought up a good point. The people can only be held accountable if the UN had teeth. That's why we don't allow the U.S. or the U.S. doesn't participate in the war crimes. We're exempt from, you can't actually hold any American citizen accountable for war crimes in the UN. It can't be done. We're one of the only countries that did not sign on. We're not signatories to the I forget what it was, whatever the act was, and so you can't prosecute any American for war crimes. Doesn't matter. You couldn't prosecute the president of the United States if he ordered you to drop 20 canisters of VX into Paris. You can't. The UN can't do shit. So
that's because we are the UN.
Well, yeah, we certainly have double standards there at the UN, and we can get away with a lot.
I mean, when
which
you
is
talk about a United Nations military action, what you're talking about is the 101st Airborne, right? The 130th SOAR and the United States Marines, 3 guys from Sweden and a French dude driving backwards in a beat up tank. Right? That's what a UN action is.
yeah. Well, they've had some efficacy in some places, but yes, I mean, about 10 to 15% efficacy of where they should be or what they claim that they can. I mean, it's the Robin Williams said that basically the UN was like a traffic cop on Valium, and just sort of like stop, 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 or I'll say stop again. So. And I forgot the other one. I should have opened with this. Time magazine has declared 2020 the worst year in history. Yeah, I'm on board. I'm on board with that.
By the way, this beats like the year that Moses decided to call down 10 plagues on Egypt. This beats when God like eradicated every human from the planet with the exception of Noah and his menagerie. This year, well, yeah, absolutely.
We should have put that.
And rivers turning.
What were we saying?
Oh no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, we should have put that in a poll ahead of time. Just okay, would you rather live in Egypt under Pharaoh at the time of Moses, or in the United States under Trump with the coronavirus and not just like the current conditions? Like
You know what it is, though? You know what it is? Donald Trump said he was going to make America great again, and the way he was going to do it was by making America win again. And so he sat there, and somebody obviously came up to him in early November of last year and said, Donald, that Moses guy, he really wreaked havoc in Egypt one time ago. And, I think you should probably, I don't think you could one up him. And he sat back and said, oh, yeah, hold my McDonald's Diet Coke. And, in came the China virus. And then, of course, we're winning. We're winning in deaths. We're winning in number of cases. We're winning in, lack of compliance. And we're also winning in number of billionaires that have profited to the tune of $1 trillion in new money to billionaires, while millions and millions of Americans are unemployed and can't put food on the table. Thousands upon tens of thousands of small businesses have shut down, but of course the big businesses are going ham over fist for Black Friday, right? So much winning. And of course, Donald Trump is still out there saying that he's going to be in office on January 21st, and that he won, and that the Democrats, the Democrats are being very mean to me. They're very mean.
That's a little scary. That's actually a little scary. Well, I will say this.
I know.
I detected some subtle sarcasm in your voice. I was a little offended because we are winning in one category that is important that you are deliberately ignoring. Freedom. Fox. We are winning in freedom. I don't know what you...
Freedom.
Ugh,
absolutely. We are winning in freedom. My God, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that all of these people are. I have the right to not wear a mask.
Oh, Jesus. Dear Lord. Well, I somebody needs to explain to me how France has less freedom than we do. I don't. All right. Well, speaking of Trump and his lunacy, aside from the fact that he's tried to sue multiple states and just today got thrown out of the U.S. Supreme Court for attempting to overturn the victory in which state? There is so much that he's now. So he's oh dear Lord, he got let's see. Let's see. Attorney General William Barr has said that There's no evidence for widespread voter fraud. Now, Trump has replied suggesting that Barr either has been bought off or is working for the people who are stealing the election from him. He also has suggested that the FBI and Justice Department may be involved in a ploy to bring to flip the election, citing that they have refused to support his legal battles. And so he's arguing that they have been involved in rigging it. He has lost. Actually, the Republicans brought before the Supreme Court a appeal to overturn Pennsylvania. That's been thrown out. So he's not having a lot of luck in court, but there are people who are buying this. And you had said earlier, and I tend to agree, I'm surprised violence has not started over this, because enough people who believe in the Second Amendment, who believe that this is, and it was, what's his name, with the tattoo of Nixon on his back? Stone. No, Ailes. Jesus, the guy, the tattoo of Nixon on his back.
Robert Ailes?
Yeah, Ailes came out and said that Trump staying in president should be defended by force. So now nobody really cares what he thinks anymore, thank God. But while all that's happening, Trump today, I think it was, pardoned former, not defense secretary, sorry, he was the former national security advisor, Michael Flynn, who, that's holy shit. Talking about training the swamp. That guy is the definition of the swamp, and he has now been pardoned. And Sean Hannity has come out and said that Trump should preemptively pardon himself and his entire family for any and all crimes they have committed, and what would be the most widespread pardon in history. Now, the pardon that was received by, what's his name, Michael Flynn was already. I don't have the language here, but yeah, it was pretty. What's the word I'm looking for? It was pretty broad, and it doesn't list specific crimes. Basically, just says if he's committed any crimes during his tenure, he can't be prosecuted for them. And today, the case against him was dismissed as being moot because you can't convict him.
So I'm actually surprised that happened, because it's been historically understood that pardons are like retroactive things, right? So you can't get a pardon unless you've been convicted of a crime. Obviously, Michael Flynn had been convicted of a crime, vis-a-vis he was eligible for a pardon. Now, whether or not you think he should have received a pardon or not is irrelevant. That was fully within Trump's authority as the president to do so. But you can't just pardon people. There's no legal ground to uphold a pardon for things that you haven't been charged with. So Trump's sitting there going, I'm going to retroactively pardon people for things that I don't know they might be charged with in the future. I don't see how that would hold up in court.
It worked with Nixon, though, unless I'm missing something. I mean, Nixon was pardoned for any crimes he may have committed, so they had to stop any investigation of him. But admittedly, that caused quite an uproar at the time too, for precisely those reasons.
Having said that, a federal pardon only works at the federal level. So,
yes,
of New York.
Yes.
Welcome Donald Trump back to the state of New York, and of course, Ivanka Trump being deposed. Pardon
inauguration
for money scheme, and then of course, there's always the sweet irony of the fact that many of the cases that are working their way through the federal courts for Donald Trump wind up being overseen by the district that has. What was the Supreme Court justice that was nominated by Barack Obama at the end of his term?
Jesus. Garland.
Merrick Garland, of course, is the Chief Justice of the D.C. Court.
Oh, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious if for no other reason that if they had taken the nomination, the replacement probably would have been done by the next Republican president. And so you'd have a Republican in place, and instead you got a liberal in place because he didn't appoint him to the court. Oh, dear Lord. That would be good. I would enjoy. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy that. I'm above Freud and however you pronounce that.
We are above absolutely. We are above petty partisan politics and any form of Schadenfreude. We here at In Time have a unique capacity to set aside our biases and be fair and unbalanced in the application of all things.
Amen. Yep. All right. Well, so that would what? Oh yeah. Don't look behind the curtain.
Let's just.
What is that?
There we go. What is it? I believe that says Pete. Pete for president. We're just going to assume that says 2028. Because we're just absolutely unbiased here at the End Time show. We would never endorse anybody for candidacy.
Yep. All right. Well. Hey, we did we endorse anyone in the last? I don't remember. Yeah, we usually try. Oh, I don't know. All right.
Before Mike.
It's the So the Southern District is going after Southern District of New York is going after Trump. Ivanka was deposed today by the Washington, D.C. Attorney General as part of their lawsuit looking into the inauguration. And since those are all state, he can't do anything about that. And the one thing that was not reported regularly, but was very important, was that when what's his name? The special counsel who did the investigation into oh my God, I can't believe his former head of the FBI. His name begins with an M. Oh dear Lord, did the investigation into Trump and essentially found that Trump. Oh dear Lord, what was Mueller's investigation? Mueller worked with the state's attorneys general for every state involved in this, which includes Virginia, D.C., New York, and they have all of his records, and they are capable of prosecuting him. One of the reasons they haven't yet is because they can't while he's president. But there is a general consensus that as soon as he's out of the office, we may see a lot of prosecutions starting to happen towards him. I also think he's got a huge tax issue. I at first I didn't take that very seriously, but I'm starting to think that's a very serious problem. And I'm starting to think, too, that's one reason he's starting to get desperate to stay in office, because that would give him another 4 years to try to find another way out. I think he's a con man. He only thinks short term, and I think he hasn't figured out how he's going to get out of this. That's my view. I don't know what you think. Any thoughts on the I used to think that was kind of a conspiracy theorist thing when people said, well, the reason he doesn't want to get out is because he's going to get hit by the courts. I'm starting to think the reason he doesn't want to get out is because he's going to get hit by the courts. I think that's kind of
to be quite honest with you, my only thoughts on this can it just be January 20th already?
Oh, I know.
I am so emotionally, mentally, physically worn out by Donald Trump. Like, I feel like Donald Trump has been president for 4 years. I feel like in 4 years, what a person who has, say, been married to like the worst enemy for like the greater part of like a half a century. Like, I'm exhausted. It's nonstop. It's every day. It's one more stupid thing after another, and the bottom never ends. Like, you think you've reached the dumbest, stupidest, most insane thing that another human can say or a group of humans can believe in, and it's just like, just wait. You ain't seen nothing yet. You know,
well, that was his speech. that was his speech. He's just a new look. I didn't think that was. But I apologize. I think I cut you off. Maybe a bit of lag there. So please finish. You said these people.
I mean, he's just up there. Yeah, I mean, look, he's just up there, and he's like, the Democrats. It's all the Democrats, and the lizard people. They came down, and then God on high came, and he said, Donald, you got to work this for America, And so I'm sitting there, and I opened my McDonald's bag, and there was a picture of Hillary Clinton in my McDonald's bag, and she said, I'm coming for you, Donald. And so I know that they're bad, and we got to open up federal executions because I've only got a limited time, and I got to get it done because Giuliani told me if I don't scratch my toe, then the world's going to end. And it's just like, Joe Biden is not going to be a great president. He's not.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm just going to go ahead and warn the American. Joe Biden is not going to be a great president. He's going to be an average president by all metrics.
Yeah, I think
I'm completely okay with that. I am completely okay with, at least for a little bit, just sitting back and saying, I am happy today because my president didn't say something so stupid that it embarrassed me to the extent that I tell people that I am, in fact, not American. No. In fact, I am South African. Right? I am no longer an African American. I am from my country of South Africa, the most unequal place in the world. I'd rather be claiming. I'd rather claim that than America right now. And it's got nothing to do with America. It's got nothing to do. It's all Donald Trump. Because I don't. And I've said this before on this show. I don't hold most people accountable for believing in this stuff, right? Being alive is difficult. We have so many demands placed on us just by being alive today that the idea that everybody can comprehend a lot of these things, so I don't really, because I look at the average Republican as a victim of Republican politics, and as we know, the victims of abuse tend to stay with their abuser, right? So I'm not blaming them. But my God, can we just go one day without having to worry about somebody saying the president of the United States not saying something on Twitter that could cause a war? Like, please, Santa, please bring me a treat. Bring me 24 hours of a Trump retreat.
Well, and we've forgotten, right? I mean, because the number of times where he's actually advocated for war crimes, starting with the very first one that I can recall was saying that we should kill the families of our enemies, to saying that people who die in war are suckers, to what he did to John McCain, who really was a straight up American fucking hero. For what? And here's the thing: yeah, he got captured, but he also could have been released early because he was the son of an admiral, and he chose to stay because he wasn't going to leave anyone else there to be tortured just because of his lineage. Withdrawing from the Paris Accords, withdrawing from the World Health Organization in the middle of the worst global health crisis in 100 fucking years. If you got problems with the World Health Organization, withdraw. You don't do it in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Holy shit. The number of things, and then fake land deals, bankruptcies, attacking anybody who it's holy shit. Yeah, I'll be glad to just see sanity restored. It's unexpected. Titan asked a very good question. Are you going to cover the great conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter? That's a good question. No. All right. So moving on. Let's see. Let's see. Actually, I think. Well, no. And then there's been a whole bunch of.
The only thing left on the list that we haven't gotten to is the protests in Guatemala.
Oh well, there's been the protests in Guatemala. We also, I'm not sure the number of resignations recently and/or firings is extraordinarily high. Today, I think it was the head of his Scott Atlas, his top coronavirus advisor, has resigned over his handling of the coronavirus response. We also had the remaining senior member, Steve Blank of the Department of Defense's Defense Business Board. He was the remaining most senior member because the others were all forced out and replaced with Trump loyalists. He resigned, saying, "quote The abrupt termination of more than half of the Defense Board." The Defense Business Board and their replacement with political partisans is now putting the nation's safety and security at risk. My service to the Department of Defense was a service to this country, not to a party. I thereby tender my resignation. And there's been a whole bunch more. We'll get to but I think you're right. The remaining ones is, there's still protests nationwide in Guatemala. I think they burned the Parliament building. I think that was actually just a few days ago. Paris, it's all starting up again. It's all kind of the same stuff that started here. I think you had said this. It's almost like the Western's equivalent of the Arab Spring. Was that something that I think you had made that analogy at some point, or was that
That wasn't me. I would never give America.
Wow, you're still
doing something so smart.
You are still new here. So what I'm going to say is when you get credit for something you didn't do, just yes, that was me.
Gotcha.
Yes, I freed the slaves. That was totally me.
That was totally me. That was, yes, absolutely. In fact, Harriet Tubman was just me in blackface.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
There you go. There's one. There's
YouTube's gonna.
That's the one that did it.
That's the one that did that. Yeah, I know. YouTube's gonna invent time travel and preemptively. I was wondering. We got demonetized 2 minutes before the stream started. I was trying to figure out why. That's it.
Right. Trying to figure out why.
It's like something you're gonna do. I was like, okay, Vox. It's gonna be Vox. I'm just saying right now. It's gonna be Vox.
It's always me. It's always me.
Oh,
this is why we like super chats, right? This is why we like super chats, because they can't take the super chats away, right? So all you people watching, look, Nick needs a new pair of socks. Okay, look, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I've got my cows, but Nick, he's got him and his 17 children, to take care of.
Wow, she is learning. She's a fast study. She's figured out how this works. Hit
the red subscribe button. Right? It's right down below my boobs. Just smash that button. It'll be like pressing my nipple, right? And I'll just go woo.
Well, I should try to get that back up so that I've actually got
faceless sexism right there. But
yeah,
hey,
the other discussion the other discussion we were having at the beginning of the show. Yeah, I'll move Vox so that it's like she's going to be a little closer to that. But yep, that's I will say this. Yeah, we get demonetized. Half our shows get demonetized. That's just the way it is. And we've actually been also looking into we can stream to any platform we want to, and on occasion we stream to multiple platforms. So we may stream somewhere else where you can have a bit of another voice without getting. We got hit. Actually, we got hit pretty hard for one of our previous. I try not to let the demonetized. I mean, we joke about it. It's a fun thing to joke about. I try not to let it really influence the show too much because I prefer quality over just. We'll figure out and we have a lot of patrons who've been very supportive. We have members who've been very supportive. If you want to help in that, great. If you either don't have the money, don't have that's fine, or don't have the interest, come join us on our Discord at least and hang out and chat with us. And you can chat with us on the Discord. And another great way to just show you appreciate the show is like and subscribe. And if you hit the thumbs up button, you know what? That really helps. That helps. It helps us in the algorithm. It helps us, generate leads and interest. So if you like this show, if you've stayed here to the end and you've gotten to this point and you've enjoyed yourself, and you feel like you've learned something, A, my condolences, and B, please, hit the like and subscribe button. Sorry for the link being bad there. I'll have to update that. A whole bunch of the Discord links went south. I'll look into it, so we'll get that done. We will be back on Saturday to discuss sort of just more from an actual political perspective some of the extraordinary events of the last week. That will be on Thursday at 9 o'clock. A week from today at 9 o'clock, we will have on Maori to do the second show in his series on music. It will be the on music therapy. And we've got a couple of other interesting shows planned. So And we totally do not support what Dave Thompson just said in the live chat. We don't support it at all. Somebody who's got no sense of humor is going to get us in trouble. Yeah, I gotta watch that. We're gonna one of these days. Whew. Okay. So thank you all for joining us. Vox, anything else you wanted to add before we head out?
Oh, I just, I hope everybody, I know the inside watchers above, that they tend to be smarter. We did a study, by the way, we have the double-blind, peer-reviewed study that proves this, that you guys tend to be, but of course, please do wear your masks, please do social distance, and, I know that at this time of the year, there's a lot of introspective depression that goes on with people. So, we are here. If you need to talk, if you feel like COVID is getting you down, please join the Discord, as Nick said. And you can always ping somebody. We're always around. We're always for chat. So, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.
I was about to say, too, I will be in the Discord after the show. Vox, I don't know if you have any time. I forgot to ask you about that earlier, but I'll be in the Discord. I was going to be in the Discord after the show and hanging out in live chat for anyone who wants to chat. But Dave, I think wants to have a word with me. So I'm thinking I maybe can't. Oh, what, hun? What was that? Oh, my wife needs me. I'm not going to be able to be in the Discord later. Once Dave bails, I might be able to show up later whenever that is. I'll have someone let me know when he's gone, but I'll be in the Discord after the show. Vox, if you want in, I hope you'll come by. And thank you all for coming. We will see you on Thursday. Night all.